Thank you for listening and welcome to the Life Radio Show, a once proud member of the now defunct Eventide Entertainment Podcast Network. I'm your host, Don Smith. Making her radio show co-hosting debut, we welcome Nurse Susie Williams. We talk with Michael Mueller about his upcoming film, The E-Listers. If you enjoy the show, like and follow The Life 1069 on Facebook and Don Smith Comedy on Twitter, or you can tune in live on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. on WWSU 106.9 FM, or you can stream the show live at WWSU1069.org.
The brutal presence overwhelms me. The brutal presence overwhelms me.
Right? No.
Yeah.
This is Mike.
Hey, Mike, this is Don with the Life Radio Show. How's it going?
It's good. How are you, Don?
I'm good. I'm good. My guest co-host is Susie Williams. Is this her first time on the radio? She's nervous. She's actually... She's not. She's a nurse. The original guest I had for today or last week was supposed to be talking about some cancer treatment therapy. So I brought her on, but now we have a nurse in here to talk about acting.
Hey, that should make it even more interesting.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because they know things like how to kill people. That always makes me nervous with her.
Yeah.
Well, there's an interesting thing that I learned a couple years ago, that here there's a lot of work for actors at different hospitals, because they come in and they come in as sick, or role play as sick patients, and it's for doctors and nurses to practice delivering bad news to terminally ill people.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole I know a ton of actors that do that type of work, at Monday through Friday type stuff when they're not on set with a film project. They do that type of acting.
Well,
Yeah, I did not even know that was a thing.
I didn't either until one random conversation, and then I was informed of it. So I found that really interesting, though.
Yeah, that is. We're going to go ahead and get started. I was just doing sound check. I think everything's good. So, although I might throw some of that in because that was interesting to find out.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
Sometimes I just leave the sound check into the show, just if we get to talking about something fun.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Yeah. You got to use what you can use. You know what I mean? You never know.
Oh yeah, we've had some really weird sound checks.
I got you.
Yeah, one of the things I used to do to a former co-host is I wouldn't let her know I was recording for the sound check, and then just as she's talking and saying some of the weirdest stuff, I would just say, "All right, welcome to the Life Radio Show," like I just did there. So we'll just use that as the intro. I'm your host, Don Smith. I'm your host, Don Smith. I'm sitting in with my guest co-host for the week, Susie Williams, Nurse Susie. You want to go by Nurse Susie? That way,
Sure, Nurse
we just
Susie.
go ahead and clarify who you are. That way,
That would be great. Nurse Susie. Or Nurse Susie
And
the
then,
Great.
and then we'll remind you the remainder of the show that you're nurse.
right?
That
Just
you're
in
Right.
case you
So-
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, no problem. On the phone is Michael Mueller. Is it Michael or Mike? Which do you prefer?
Either one. I answer to both. So if it was my mother, it would be Michael, but most people call me Mike.
Okay, Mike works.
I was
right?
thinking of Mikey.
No,
We're not going to go down that road.
I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to you. 'Cause
Yeah.
I have some
Yeah.
people that call me Donnie, and I want to punch him in the throat. I'm not a big fan.
Yeah. For some reason, the word Mikey it makes me feel sick. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
like you're eating Life cereal. That's.
Exactly, and I heard enough of that growing up.
I'm
so.
sure you did.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the show. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Now, you're a director. What all are you?
Well, yeah. That is a loaded question. But yes, I'm a director. I own a production company. So we really focus on all things multimedia. So everything from video and film production to post-production, web design, branding, marketing,
So
graphic design.
The whole works.
Yeah, anything that really deals with digital media is kind of just my second nature. It's my forte, I guess you would say. So we have a lot of like business and corporate clients that keep the lights on, and then we have our film projects that I don't want to call them passion projects. It's the fun stuff. Yeah, that's the fun stuff. Right.
Yeah, it's out on a comedy club, and there's all kinds of crap I have to do that isn't fun, but the stage time's the fun stuff.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And we're actually at the end of this month, we bought a 2,100 square foot building last year, and we've been renovating it into a full creative studio. So there's on my particular side of town in Atlanta, we don't really have any creative spaces for whether it's someone into photography or video. So that between that and the release of my first feature film that'll be released in March, which is actually a comedy called The E-Listers, will also be opening up my post-production creative studio.
Yeah, I watched the trailer for The E-Listers. That looks like a lot of fun. Now that's about background actors.
It is. Well, they like to call themselves background artists.
Makes sense to me.
So, but yes, they're very keen on the way that they're described in their subculture. But yes, it is about the unusual lives of background actors, and they have a total subculture outside of the rest of the acting world, and everybody that's seen the trailer or seen the little sneak peek that we had that spent any type of time on set just completely identifies with it, and they talk about how scary accurate we hit it. So I think it really comes from because everybody that was in the film, and contributing, there's a Facebook group page called Stories from Set, and it's all about this subculture. So it was really brought in from a personal perspective by Edward Reed, he was executive producer and wrote The E-Listers. And it's funny in the most unbiased way. I know that's like, of course, I'm the director and the production company. I'm going to say it's funny, but it really is. I've found myself laughing in the editing room much more than I anticipated.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah, I watched the trailer as well, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is crazy!" I think it is going to be a good deal.
Yeah, we are really, really super excited about it, and we had such a, just the story itself is great, but the story behind it and how it was made was really, it's kind of like what the whole film in itself represents, which is, the film is about the underdogs making it, right? Like trying to become real actors. It's about it's the underdog story. Well, I think us as a production team, we shot, this script was 77 pages, and we shot it in 7 days. It had over 60 speaking characters, and we did it for under $20,000.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a tough budget to come in under for anything, actually.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about a feature film, and we had 6 locations, and then we had 50 background that didn't have lines, and we had 60 speaking characters. So there's a lot of complicated blocking, and there's some really big scenes. Like a lot of the scenes are big just because there's so many people in it, and it's based around background extras. And one of the things that they here in Atlanta, and I'm sure they probably have different names coast to coast, but like when you have these scenes where they have all these, they call them the cattle calls, and where you just have like a room of like 50 to 100 people sitting in there, and then everybody kind of forms their own clique, and you just have like this very weird scenario with these different, there's some odd people and then there's some normal people, and we kind of cover both spectrums of that.
Yeah, I just had to wonder if that's like the ultimate moment as a background artist, to be in a film playing a background artist. Yeah, that's actually, we like to call the E-Listers, it's like
it's like Inception for background artists. It's like we're making a film about making a film about being background artists
and using background artists.
Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, it can go down a rabbit hole really, really quick. But it was probably one of the best times I've had on set, just from the crew to from the crew to the casting. It was just. It was a ton of fun. I can't remember the last time I had that much fun on a set. Even though we're working 16-hour days, it was enjoyable. We loved every minute of it.
That's always a good thing if you're on a set where you're actually having fun, because I've been on some where it's just not a good time, and I've been on some that are just it doesn't feel like you've been there 16 hours just because you're having a blast with everybody on there. It all depends on who you get to work with a lot of times.
Yeah, and that's one thing the only way I think we're able to pull something as ambitious as this off is because my production team is my team that I've been using for several years. So we're all very familiar with the way each other work. Like my director of photography already knows my style of lighting and the type of shots that I'm going to be looking to get. So we really used our resources, and there's a lot of pre-production that went into it, because a lot of people, when they hear 77 pages in 7 days, they're just like, that's not the norm by any means. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely not. I think I was in a film a couple years ago that's still available on Redbox, 6 Feet Below Hell, and we filmed that in 4 Saturdays. We only filmed on Saturdays. We filmed it in 4 Saturdays, and it's been available for rent in Redbox for like 2.5 years now. So.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's sometimes you get one that you're able to crank out really quick. I call the guy I work with for that, I call him a guerrilla filmmaker, just because whatever it takes to get it done. There are some scenes on another one I shot with him that came out recently. There were some scenes that were actually filmed on an iPhone running through a hospital with no permission.
We get that a lot.
Yeah. I think every filmmaker's been at that point where, especially in the beginning or in the middle, or sometimes you just got to do what you got to do because you don't have the budget to get it done, I guess, through the proper channels. But yeah, you definitely, I've had my fair share of experiences where we're just going to show up until we get kicked out, you know what I mean? And then till someone says, no, you can't do that here. And, fortunately we've never had any issues, but something like the E-listers, we didn't have a choice but to plan appropriately, just because when we would show up to locations, there's like 75 people, and there's just not really a way you're going to be able to do that in a guerrilla format. You know?
Yeah, that's true. It's a lot harder to conceal 75 people running through.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And our principal cast, our core actors, they were absolutely phenomenal. Just from if they wouldn't have been bringing their A game every day, that's the only thing that would allow us to shoot as quick as we could, was that they were off book. They knew their lines. They had their characters down. So we had minimal adjustments between takes, and, it was a great process because everyone understood, the magnitude of it.
Right. Yeah, that's working with professionals. That's because sometimes in indie film you don't really get that. Sometimes you get people that just don't want to show up on time. They don't show up prepared. I was on one where by the time I got on set, they'd been filming for 2 weekends, and when I got there, they had like maybe 2 minutes of actual footage. I mean, it was bad because they didn't do anything.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. Those are the unfortunate horror stories where, you may have like your lead or your supporting lead, and all of a sudden I've heard it where they don't show up and you have the whole crew there, and you got to figure something out, and it's kind of hard, like when people do become flaky. And we see it more times than not in the film industry. And I think it's just because some people want it for the wrong reasons. Like, you
Right.
definitely can weed out the people that are serious about their craft and they want to be great storytellers. And then there's people that are just in it for whatever minimal limelight you get in the indie scene. Like, that's not like there's not a whole lot of that, I know for sure.
Yeah, because I've never actually done any of the big movie background acting or anything like that. Sorry, background artistry.
Right. Yep. Got to get it right.
Got to get it right. I don't want to upset anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd always rather just have, speaking roles in lower budget films than. I mean, not to say that I haven't. I think there was one that I was a background, and that was enough. That was enough. After, but the gentleman I work with a lot of times now on his sets, if you can come on as an extra, and by the end of the day, you have a sizable role just from people not showing up. Somebody doesn't show up, he calls them, says, "Don't bother, you're fired."
Well, I've learned a lot
I've
so
heard
far.
that story a lot too.
I've learned a lot so far. I didn't know that being an extra was an art.
But
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
They like to they call it moving wallpaper.
Moving wallpaper.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that's also known as moving wallpaper. No, that's actually from the movie. Jack Burson was the main character, and his mom, she just gives him this horrible time because he was a star child actor, but then he just went into background acting, and so she's constantly giving him a really tough time. And she's like, "Oh, you fizzled," and are you proud of being party goer number 2? And she just gets it.
I think there's a part of her in the trailer, isn't there?
Yeah,
Where she's giving him
is.
shit about
Yeah, she's like, she's like, what you could do a stand-up tree could do or something
Right,
like that.
yeah, I remember
she's
that in
giving
the
him a
trailer.
hard time, and it's just like,
It's hilarious.
I'm glad you guys really enjoyed it, and I can't wait till it's actually the full thing. It's about 100. It's about 90 minutes, so right at an hour and a half, and it doesn't feel like it when you watch it, just because there's just some really great scenes, and it keeps you interested, and it's funny. And I think there's really going to be some breakout roles for some of the actors in this, just because the cast ensemble was they were great individually, and then they worked great as a whole. And then there's just some people, it was my first time working with a lot of these actors, and the thing that was so interesting is we have Derek the PA, which reading the script in pre-production kind of just felt like his role was just going to be there as the PA. But what Keller Fornes did as Derek the PA, it's really like you're just looking forward to seeing his character pop up in a scene. And it
fun.
kind of like when someone can take that and do that to a role when it's not necessarily written that way in the script, but they find a very unique way to really bring that character to life. It's always super interesting. So it's like anytime you see him in the scene, you're just like, oh my gosh, what is he going to say? Like, what is he going to do? What is he going to say? Just because he's so unpredictable.
That's fun. That's a fun character to watch and be.
And people are like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say you're down in Atlanta, right?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
So what is the film scene like down there? As far as are you guys getting a lot of bigger movies down in that area, or you just?
Well, there's Atlanta as a whole, or the state of Georgia, really, for production is huge. It also there's also a lot of dividing lines, right? So we have we have a lot of the big Marvel movies are shot here at Pinewood Studios, and there's always these huge Hollywood projects being shot here. However, there's the line between Hollywood and the indie scene is it's a very deep line. It's
Right.
divided. So it's like the thing is like they're bringing all their stuff here for the tax credit. And what ends up happening is like you can get on if you're like a background artist. You can get on a lot of the projects, but all their above the line people like directors, producers, DPs,
all out of state.
all out of state, all their lead roles, all their core cast, they're bringing them in from LA, New York, or whatever. So someone like me, I don't get them being here doesn't help me or hurt me, I guess. You know, if I had to break it down, you know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. I was telling somebody that the other day because here in Ohio we have a lot of tax credits and tax breaks for film companies here, and that's the same way. I mean, you can't get into the big productions if you're a local indie filmmaker or actor, other than extra work, and that's why I won't do it. I just I'd rather work with the indie filmmakers. That's the real stuff.
Yeah, and I think too that's one of the things that for our platform for the E-listers, like the one thing that we're really trying to shine a light on is that it was made by Atlanta for Atlanta. All the cast and crew, everybody are Atlanta-based actors and crew, and we really just because the background community, when you think about it, is really, really large. It probably trumps your normal acting and crew by 10 times when you think globally. So it's like when we start running our ads and promoting it coast to coast, it'll be where people identify with that, and hopefully it can shine a light on some of the great talent that we have here from lead and supporting roles and some above the line crew people, because, I think we get overlooked because they're bringing people in and they're only here for the tax credit. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. That's kind of why, because I know the comedy scene down in Atlanta is pretty good right now too. And that's my area. I mean, I do some film work, but I know there's a lot of comedy stuff growing down in Atlanta at the moment.
Yeah, and back in August, I turned 40 in August, and had kind of a big birthday party we put together. We actually hired a stand-up comedian to put together a show for my birthday. Are you familiar with Lace Larrabee?
The name's familiar. I don't know that I've met him, but the name is familiar.
Yeah, she's hilarious. It was great. And it was just like the most, it was definitely a different type of birthday party for sure. Like, cause we rented out like an art museum and did this whole thing where we had stand-up comedy. So it was really enjoyable to do something different like that too, just from a celebration standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking a little bit before we called you a little bit earlier this morning about as far as after watching the trailer and everything with the E-listers, have you seen the British television series Extras with Ricky Gervais?
Yeah, it's horrible. It is. Yeah, it was. I only watched the first episode and I thought it was horrible. And what's crazy though is like I love Ricky Gervais, but his obviously. His version, the original Office, I thought that was horrible. But like the American version with Steve Carell, I mean, it's like probably it's probably my favorite comedy sitcom of all time. Like it's which is really weird because I don't understand. Like his mind is there to create these interesting things, but then it's just not. I don't know if it's just like the UK humor is just that much different from American humor, and that's why it's falling flat for me.
Yeah, that could be a part of it because I love British humor anyway. But that answers my next question. I was going to see if there was any influence from from Extras to the E-lister. So I'm guessing not.
Well, so I can tell you what it did for me. There was an influence to not do that. That's like it showed me like what not to do. I don't know. Like I felt like they did a show called Extras, but then the biggest part of it was like bringing in celebrity famous actors,
Right,
and it wasn't
right.
really about it. I felt like the point was off. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I get what you're saying on that. Yeah,
So-
because in E-listers, do you follow like one or two principal background artists for this, or is it just the whole group? Is the whole group the focus, or is it just one or two of the background artists trying to get up above that?
So it is. It's around Jack Bursonow, who is a background artist played by Edward Reed, and he kind of has his. So he's definitely the lead in the story that because he's kind of telling it from his perspective. We have times where he comes in with voiceover and kind of explains what's going on and his opinion of, the background world. But he has his little group of like 4 people that, he sits with in the holding area, and the people that he communicates with the most. And then we also have someone that's new to their clique, and it's her first day doing background work. So you kind of have like the rookie, and he's kind of like they call him the set legend just because he's like revolting against the class warfare that the sets promote. Like between the background and the crew, like there's this great scene where we have it's like what they call crew crafty, where all the crew has and the A-list go in and get their snacks and refreshments, and something that's what extras normally get are like cheese balls and bottled water if they're lucky, right?
Right.
So we have this scene where he goes into this glamorous spread of just like food and everything, and it's guarded by 2 little people, and he just plays this whole scene out where he's acting like he's an A-list actor, and they're just, oh yeah, I've seen all your shows, and he's just BSing them so he could get the food.
Got to do what you got to do to get the good spread,
Right.
to get the good lunch.
Yeah,
spread.
So he's got like this guy with him. He's kind of like showing him the ropes. So he's like this set legend amongst the background people. But one of his friends, Herman, or who is supposed to be like his closest friend, he's always battling him. As what does it mean if a bunch of losers think you're a legend? What does that really mean? Like you're a loser legend? You know what I mean? So it's just like, there's all this stuff going on, but the camaraderie between everybody, and it's just hilarious.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I can't wait. That's coming out in March, right? You have distribution, or is it just doing a? Is it just going to film festivals for now, or is it actually?
No, we won't be doing like the film festival thing. I don't really see the point in that. Like, it's always a conversation, or an interesting conversation. And I think like with the film festival, a lot of people are, they go that route because they're either, they're trying to entice a bigger studio or a producer. Right. It's more on the industry side. And, honestly, like I really enjoy the indie scene because I have full creative control. I don't have to be told how to do or shoot or edit, or, I get Final Cut. And, we have a really great community here. So we'll do a red carpet premiere at the Midtown Art Cinema in downtown Atlanta. And then the day after, it'll be available for rent or purchase on Amazon.
Oh, good.
And we're just, so we'll be doing our full-blown indie distribution. And what's great with social media advertising, we can go in and target demographic, we can target our demographic individually by people that are, if they're tied to particular background casting pages on Facebook, so we can make sure we're getting this in front of people that is our core audience.
Would get full appreciation of that because they live it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a pretty good marketing plan in place. So we're looking, it'll be March 5th is the our date that we're looking for our premiere, and then it'll be available shortly after that on Amazon.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing that. And
Me too.
I've had a few films I was in that went to the film festival circuit, and usually not much comes of those. But it's the ones that actually get the distribution deals that are out there that are that's a lot more exciting to me.
Yeah, it's such a political thing, and the other thing too that really kills me about the festival run is, now there's just thousands of festivals, so you're really trying to figure out, okay, like if I was going to do it, what are like the top 10 or 15 that are really worth it, and the ones that would be actually worth it. The problem is that most of them, like when you think of like Sundance and TIFF and
Cannes, I think is a big one.
Yeah, and South by Southwest, and all of them require or want the exclusive. So like so you go through this process where they're charging you anywhere from $50 to $100 to submit to their festival, and then it takes like 6-8 months to hear yes or no,
right.
And more than likely it's a no, and because they all want this, if they choose your film, they want the exclusive right to premiere it, and right. You're basically sitting on your project.
Yeah, you can't submit it anywhere else. I think that there's a lot of that with writing, with short story writing and novels and stuff like that, to where they want the exclusive and you can't submit it. You can't do simultaneous submissions, or you'll disqualify yourself. Yeah,
it's insane. And like when you think about it now, with just the technology we have, it's just like, man, you would spend you spend a year making a feature film, and then you got to spend another 8-9 months just waiting to hear if it's in a festival. Then you got to spend the money to go to the festival and do all the festival stuff, and it's just like, for what? So 200 people in a theater could see your film, and like at the end of the day, is it to me, I make films. I want to be a filmmaker for people to watch a good story. And
right.
It's not really about the politics and the industry piece. Like, I want to do something and put it out there to where people can watch it. And if it's funny, laugh. If it's sad, cry. It's that's what you that should be the goal of a filmmaker, is to have people watch it, not just do
right.
the politics of it. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Well, we're going to have to take a quick break.
Okay.
At the half hour. When we come back, we're gonna go over some crazy news stories and anything else you want to talk about if you have more stuff to add. But we have to cover the news. It's of vital importance to the world.
It is, and
absolutely.
I love crazy news stories.
All right. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back here shortly.
Sounds good.
Almost had it all, and I lost everything. All that's left to me is my name. But I don't want your pity. The only thing I need is to drown my sorrows and pain. So bartender, you asked me what I'd like to drink. Well, it's been a long day, I can hardly think. And life is such a mess. So if you're asking me, well, I'll take my whiskey neat. The last one that we pulled, then we'd all go clean. But then I saw them gun him down. Don't ask me what I mean, don't say anything, just pour me another round. So bartender, you asked me about my drink of choice. Well, I don't want anything to water down my voice. Now my life is such a mess, so maybe what I need is to take my whiskey neat. Maybe it's my fault, maybe I brought it on myself. Now this glass is my only friend. I'm drinking till I'm numb, and I still hurt like hell. Just keep pouring until I say when. Oh, bartender, you ask me what I'd like to drink. Well, it's been a long day, and I can hardly think. My life is such a mess, so maybe what I need is to take my whiskey neat. So I'll take my whiskey neat. Yeah, I'll take my whiskey neat.
You lost your mind? According to my last psych evaluation. Yes.
All right. Hey, welcome back to the Life Radio Show. I'm your host, Don Smith. I'm sitting in with Nurse Susie as my guest co-host for the week. And we are still on the phone with Mike Mueller out of Atlanta.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And we just watched a video you sent with street racers fighting cops with fireworks, and that was in downtown Atlanta.
Yeah, over Christmas there was some huge street racer meetup, and I mean it was something straight out of a movie, between the movie Project X and Fast and Furious. If you could imagine those two things being put together, that's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, that did look like a little strange event there.
I'm wondering how I would have loved to know how they actually stopped it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I didn't see that, but
Yeah, it was a 15-minute video. I didn't want to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a long time. So I mean, if they had that much footage, it probably went on for quite some time. I'm just wondering from a police standpoint, how do you even begin to tackle a mob of people? Because it looks like there's hundreds of people.
Oh yeah, everybody had their cell phones out. An EMP, just an EMP that would kill all the cars and kill all the electronic devices. Nobody'd be able to film it. They'd just get bored and go home.
Right.
There you go. Yeah. That's not a bad idea. That's got to be the plan these days. Like, just kill the internet, and everyone will be.
Yep, nobody will know what to do. I can't post this to Facebook. I can't go live with this. What am I going to do now?
Yeah, no, that's actually. I have this idea for a short film that's about the Wi-Fi apocalypse, and you have these people, they're scavengers, but like they're not out of food or water. Like there's a plethora of all of this stuff, but it's like people are like standing on top of their cars, like with their phone in this. They're trying to find like the last hotspot.
So it's going to be like a new age pump up the volume type thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, because I feel like that's just where, like, you see it all the time. It's just like we're so dependent on it now. Like, we don't know how to live without it. And it's funny because I tell my kids, you know, I come from a time where we didn't have the internet, and they just don't know. That doesn't wrap around their head too well. Like, they don't. They're like, well, what did you do? And I'm like, we played outside.
I don't remember what we did.
There was trees and such.
Yeah.
Trees? I Googled those once.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of the TV series Doomsday Preppers, and it cracks me up. So yeah, the whole Wi-Fi doomsday, the Wi-Fi apocalypse is a brilliant concept.
Yeah, I really got to sit down and hammer that one out because I think it will be great.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that's what I do with my spare time. I don't get a lot of spare time, but I've been watching Doomsday Preppers, and let me tell you, those people are nuts. So I thought it was funny.
they-
A couple years ago, we had a big windstorm left over from a hurricane that came through here, and it knocked power out at my house for like 2 weeks.
Right.
And I'm a camper, so I have canned food, I have flashlights, I have batteries, I have
Coolers,
lanterns,
yeah.
I have coolers. I'm cool, you know. To me, it was just great. I couldn't charge my phone. Nobody could bother me. I had 2 weeks of peace. It was lovely. But I went to replenish some of my canned goods at the end of 2 weeks. I still didn't have power at the house, and as I'm running my canned goods across the thing, the checkout girl's like, "Well, how are you going to open these?" Really? And the funniest thing was that she was holding as she asked me that, the one she was holding had a pull tab on it. I just smiled and said, "I'll figure something out." Explosives, maybe. I'll get into that ravioli. I swear.
Yeah. Hey, you just throw it at the wall until it opens.
Yep, and then scrape it off, put it in the pan. I'm good.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. So the idea of an apocalypse in general just terrifies me because people are going to freak.
Yeah, they will.
Yep, I'll just go camping. I'm good. Let's see. People are really confused and slightly concerned by the decor in Dr. Phil's mansion. The Dr. Phil talk show host, whose full name is Philip McGraw, has listed his Beverly Hills home for sale at $5.75 million. According to the real estate listing, the 6,170 square foot home has 5 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms and sits on a half-acre lot. Private Villa Oasis, just minutes to the Beverly Hills Hotel. Extremely rare, long-gated driveway leads you into a stunningly manicured grounds, including an outdoor kitchen, inviting backyard, and pool, spa, and cabana, the property description says. The interior has been dramatically remodeled and updated with eclectic finishes and can be kept or transformed into your own vision. When images of the property made their way onto Twitter, commenters felt that eclectic may have been an understatement. The home has a staircase made of interwoven metallic snakes, a wall adorned with a display of high-powered rifles, edgy art and sculptures, and a bar one person described as inspired by Indiana Jones' Temple of Doom.
This was Dr.
This
Phil's
was Dr.
house?
Phil's house, yes.
Wow.
I knew there's something off with that guy. I knew
Yeah.
it. He's one I've been waiting for some kind of really bad scandal to hit on him,
Yeah.
just because he's such a
It's out there.
Is it?
out there.
I've always
Yeah, I
firmly
mean, I'm
believed-
sure it is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it is.
We're going to
It's out
find
there.
something out before too long, and I can't wait.
I'm actually. I had to Google those pictures real quick, and it's
So are they that
This-
bad?
it just doesn't, like, you kind of like when you see a person, you hear them talk, and you're like, oh yeah, it does not fit what you hear or see on TV.
Really good.
See, I imagine it to be all homey, like
Right.
country bumpkin.
Y'all need to get real.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
No.
Martha Stewart decorating his house. That's what I picture with Dr. Phil.
Flowers.
No, he's got a basement with some whips and chains down in there. He's got some kinky stuff going on, I bet you.
Well, to be a psychologist, you got to see a psychologist. So,
Right,
I
right,
mean,
right.
I think it's hand in hand.
I just feel like this would be someone that's it looks like someone that lives here. They're very eccentric. I don't know. It's almost like it would. It doesn't add up.
Yeah, so
I don't.
yeah. Dr. Phil, if you need to talk,
We're here for
Yeah.
we're here for you. And we want the scoop.
This is-
We want to be the ones to. We want the Life Radio show to be the breaking Dr. Phil news source. That's what. That's
this
my
is
goal.
Crazy.
All right, a Wisconsin man who was cited for regularly
Hey,
defecating.
kid, you got to be careful there. You got to be careful. I'm from Wisconsin.
Oh, man, I hope
We
this.
get
I hope this wasn't you.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But my wife always says all the serial killers are from Wisconsin. Like, you
I
have.
think there are. Well, it's really cold up there in the winter. There's not a lot to do.
Apparently.
A Wisconsin man who was cited for regularly defecating in a public park over a period of 2 years admitted that his excuse for doing so was pretty crappy. I love the people that write these. Jeffrey S. Churchwell of Elkhorn told police that he was publicly defecating up to several times per day at Natureland Park in Whitewater, according to Madison.com. As a result, the 60-year-old suspect was cited for disorderly conduct and agreed to pay a $365 plus fine plus $5,705 to the county public works department to reimburse them for the stains he left behind. I think the stains he left behind is a good episode title.
It is.
Oh, I like that, yeah.
Stains left behind.
Walworth County Sheriff's first got wind of Churchill's movements on October 8th after a worker at the Walworth County Highway shop complained about poop and used toilet paper left near a park building. The worker showed deputies trail camera photos of a man later identified as Churchwell answering nature's call in the middle of nature. Yeah.
Poor guy. That poor guy.
But at what point do you feel you got to let people know you've been doing it for 2 years? You could have had just an act. I don't understand the elaborate story. You know what I mean? It's like, well, yeah, I've been doing this for 2 years. Like, you could have just, I had to go, man. You know, there could have been different ways to spin that.
Right, right.
They're only gonna know what you tell them at that point.
Right. Are they really going to research? Did they have the trail cameras up and 2 years of footage of this guy, and it took them 2 years to identify him? Or
he just spoke up. I think
they
he's
caught
bragging.
him. He was drunk.
Her bragging.
Yep. He was drunk. I've been doing that for 2 years.
Yeah.
My water bill at the house is next to nothing.
Yeah. And he probably said that because it's like, oh, I've been doing this for 2 years and nobody's giving me a problem. Now it's a problem, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay, let's see what else we got. The next, I don't want to do 2 poop stories in a row. That's just not what I'm all about.
Well, you know, I'm used to it. I'm around it all the time. So
That's true. Ooh, this is fun. This is fun because if this goes out over the air, I can't actually air some of it.
Oh.
I'll spell it. A new edition of the Subaru Forester on display at the 2020 Singapore Motor Show came with a rather eye-catching nickname, the Forester Ultimate Customized Kit Special Edition. Or as people online were quick to note, the Subaru FUCKS Edition.
Yes.
Yeah, Subaru told Business Insider that the car was from an independent distributor rather than the car maker. However, Top Gear Philippines noted the vehicle was inside the Subaru booth, sharing space with new models such as the Vizzy Adrenaline Concept and an updated Impreza. So yes, the
Take my money.
Yes, the Forester Ultimate Customized Kit Special Edition. I want one.
I want one. That would be so
I want.
great.
I have to say it. I want one of those fucks in my driveway. That's
Yeah, exactly. I got this new fuck. It's awesome.
I'm going to have to edit both of those out, but they're totally worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just throw some beeps in there.
Right, exactly. Yep, they'll know what it is.
Could you imagine pulling
Yeah.
into the parking lot? They're like, what the fuck is that? It's like,
Yeah, we'll definitely have to bleep these because
Uh.
even the podcast. I don't know if this will go out over the air on the radio, but even the podcast, which I get more listeners to the podcast than I do the live show anyway,
okay.
and I'm good with that.
I'm sorry. I'll try to behave.
Since when? Apparently, humans. Go ahead.
No. You're good.
Apparently, humans have something in common with the lowly cuttlefish: the ability to watch and react to 3D movies. That's a not at all fishy finding. Some scientists who led a study published Wednesday in the Journal of Science Advances. The thing about the study that popped out like, well, an object in a 3D movie was how the scientists tested their hypothesis by gluing Velcro near the cuttlefish subject's eyeballs and then sticking custom-made 3D goggles with one red and one blue filtered lens. That wasn't easy, admitted lead author Trevor Wardill. an assistant professor of ecology, evolution, and behavior at the University of Minnesota. It took a lot of coaxing of the cuttlefish to make them wear their glasses, Wardell told CNN. So
Wow, that poor
What?
fish.
Cuttlefish, yes. Nothing like...
I know.
Where do people get these ideas?
The scientific community has some strange thoughts every now and then. And I don't know what the purpose of 3D goggles on a cuttlefish would actually be. There has to be something. There has to serve some kind of purpose, but I don't fully understand what that could be. Thoughts, Susie?
Well, most scientists are insane. So,
yes.
I mean, that's how they figure out some crazy stuff.
Yeah, maybe
So
this
I
was
have
a mad
feeling-
scientist journal.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
I don't know. Hopefully, they're going to do something for somebody's eyes.
Yeah,
Those
cuttlefish torture devices.
Yeah,
is what,
right. PETA will be after him.
Oh my!
Yeah.
And the New York Times actually has a video of it, of the cuttlefish wearing the 3D glasses.
Is it cute?
Nice.
I mean, is it like little glasses? Seriously?
No, it looked no. It does no. It.
That kind of ruined it all for me.
You can't make this. No, like I can have live video of it swimming around in an aquarium.
He's over there killing himself.
I don't know what's worse, the person who thought of the idea or the fact that the New York Times is covering it. I don't know which part of that is worse. I don't know.
Yeah, it's important news of the day. When you
It must have been. I think it was a slow news day.
Yeah. I love the fact that as we're discussing these, you're actually looking them up and researching,
I
and not
know,
just
that's
taking my word
fantastic.
for it. I love that because I've been accused. People have accused me of making these things up before, and it's like, nope. I just report.
No, well, it's because I'm a visual person, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They glued 3D glass. I was like, I have to see what that looked like. So, but
Were you
then
able to see it?
New York Times has a video of the cuttlefish swimming around with these glasses on.
Aw.
Yeah, that's adorable.
This
Oh.
is. I don't know.
See, that's why I cover the news. You would not have otherwise heard of that.
No.
I know. I feel like my weekends just take a dramatically different direction.
Yep, you'll have that. Here.
Yeah. I'm going to be in a rabbit hole after this radio show. I'll be in a rabbit hole looking up strange things.
Yeah, just imagine me with a liter of vodka going through these things at night trying to find this stuff to do the radio show. That's my life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's again. Oh, it actually tells us that this idea was inspired by research in where they put 3D glasses on praying mantises.
They had to start somewhere.
Oh,
What do we do next? Hey, cuttlefish.
They're definitely smoking weed. When
Oh,
they're
yeah.
the plot thickens. I see.
Yeah.
Now I gotta see
Once you do all the
gotta-
research you can on weed, then you want to start.
Yeah. Oh, sure enough, there it is. The praying mantis.
Thank you for being my eyes.
Yeah. Well,
All
that
right.
was interesting.
That's we strive for excellence here on the line.
I can tell. I'm glad to be a part of it.
We're glad to have you. This is a lot of fun. It was written in the Spears. The royal family news that shocked the world on Wednesday apparently did not come as a surprise to one woman in England. Self-proclaimed fortune teller Jemima Packington is sorry, that threw me off. Is claiming she predicted Harry and Meghan Markle would step down from the royal family after, quote, reading some asparagus spears. Packington, 64, reportedly the world's only asparamancer. says she is able to see the future by throwing asparagus into the air and then observing how I can't get through this. How the spears land on the ground. British news agency SWNS reports. When I cast the asparagus, it creates patterns. And it's the patterns that I interpret, the vegetable reader said, explaining she inherited the ability from her Aunt Jemima, who read tea leaves and has been predicting the future since she was 8 years old. I think she just threw her asparagus. She didn't want to eat her vegetables as a kid, so she threw her asparagus and then had to play it off as if it was some ability.
That's truly
so wait,
amazing.
Her relative started with tea leaves?
Yes. Right.
Fortune telling through tea leaves, and then she graduated to asparagus.
Right, exactly. I bet her future smells weird.
I don't even know what is going on. I don't know. Like, I don't know. What? How does one even find out about that news story? To write about it.
Yes, Don. Would you like to?
Well, no, I mean, like, Don found it, right? But, like,
somebody had to initially, So did the asparagus reader reach out to a news agency, or did somebody just go looking? Did somebody hear tell of someone that reads asparagus?
Somebody was walking down a street in a neighborhood, and they saw this chick throwing asparagus, and then just word of mouth. I mean, someone
what is
hopped on social media and said,
"What is
check
she
out
doing?"
This lady.
And she said, "Harry and Meghan are going to leave the royal family."
Yeah,
and So this is newsworthy.
And instead of saying, "Hey, that person needs some mental help," we're going to write a story about it. We're going to write a story about it and actually feed into their stuff. What is wrong?
Well, it's kind of, again going back to the TV show Doomsday Preppers. How do these people record these things and not think these folks need help?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I thought the same thing about the moonshine people, that they're filming illegal moonshining, but
the moonshiners,
yeah, interesting.
Yeah, what's wrong with a little shine? What's wrong with a little shine now?
Just feeding the monster. That's all.
Oh, let's see what else we have. I saw a Georgia story in here, so let me see if I can find that. Maybe not. Maybe I didn't see it. I didn't see anything. Hey, there it is. I hope this is a good one, since I went through all this trouble to dig it out.
I do too.
It probably won't be. A Georgia man was arrested Sunday for stealing electronic devices from his 73-year-old mother, then intimidating her into giving him money for them to be returned, according to police. Thomas Mitchell McCullum, 28 years old, was arrested at his mother's home in western Forsyth County. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported. Sheriff's Office spokesman Corporal Doug Rainwater said deputies responded to the home in the 6,000 block of Tybridge Street on Sunday regarding a domestic dispute. McCullum's mother told the deputies that her son had stolen her electronic devices, then demanded money for their return. The Journal-Constitution reported. Rainwater said McCullum would intimidate his mother via text because he didn't even want to do it in person, by demanding more money if she did not pay him. So if she didn't pay him, he would demand more money.
Right. So
she could not pay. It's just escalating from there. It's not getting better.
This sounds like my childhood with all my brothers.
Yep. And if his mother did not meet his imposed deadlines, McCullum would keep increasing the amount. It's only going to get worse, Mama.
Wait. So let's paint a picture. So does he send the text to her phone and then shows her the phone and then takes the phone back?
I am so glad you caught that.
It doesn't make sense.
Yep. I'll leave your phone, but I'm taking everything else. That way you can get my text message to know how much I want for everything else.
Exactly.
I guess that's the ultimate threat. If she doesn't pay, he's taking the phone too.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm thinking he should have taken the phone first. That way she couldn't have called the police.
There you go. There you go.
There's an order to these things, and young McCullum just didn't understand.
Yeah. Why? I'm trying to also figure out why he just didn't ask his mom for money. Like, why did it?
He did. He just was really dramatic about it.
Yeah. Like it just went to a whole nother level.
Right. Right. Holding the electronic devices hostage. That's
level.
Could you imagine him sitting at the police station and saying, "Oh, what are you in for?" And then him trying to explain that story to like the real criminals that are like,
the hardened criminals in there. You're in for what?
Yeah.
You did what
my
to your
mother.
mom?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
and he's telling the hardened criminal with a mom tattoo on his shoulder, and then that's the end of his life as we know it.
Yeah, there it is. Downhill.
So at least we had to end with an Atlanta story. That's we can't claim that as Atlanta. We'll just claim it as Georgia because Forsyth is. Yeah, we'll say Forsyth. But yeah, the whole time you were telling that, there's actually the lady, the asparagus fortune teller. She's done photo shoots with asparagus. It's if you.
No way.
Oh yeah. I did a Google image search. I had to see what this lady looked like, and she's using asparagus as a prop in these photos.
Excellent.
Oh, makes me afraid of the world sometimes.
I'm never going to be able to look at asparagus the same, like at the grocery store.
Won't.
I'm going to.
Yeah, you'll be wondering what it's trying to tell you.
Yeah, like start tossing it.
And then get
Don,
kicked out of
Kroger, right?
Yeah. Don, this all comes together when you think about your Doomsday show. Those people are doing that because of people like this.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like it makes me want to get in a Doomsday bunker and hide. Like to know that someone's gauging the future based on how they throw asparagus and how it lands.
No, I think it's just entertainment.
It's definitely entertainment.
She's not going to be able to hurt anybody,
Unlike the Doomsday preppers that are all well armed.
Right.
Yeah.
Those guys are crazy. But...
And those are the ones that we kind of hope there's a Doomsday so we can get rid of.
Yeah.
But it cracks me up because if you've never seen the show, I'll just go off on a tangent on Doomsday. If you've never seen the show, they score them. They rate them at the end of it.
I've seen it.
You have? And it's so great because most of them are like, I totally disagree. It's like, nope, you're probably going to be one of the first ones dead because you're an idiot. And all of your neighbors will have a great store of food that you got ready for them, and we thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to shoot yourself is what's going to happen.
I would love to walk onto that show with just like a little tiny pistol on my yoga mat.
I'm good to go.
Be like, I'm ready.
I'll tell you, when the Doomsday happens, I'm gonna go hang out with the crackheads because they already know, they have survival down pat.
Absolutely. Okay? They've been doing it for a long time.
Keith Richards.
Yeah. Keith Richards, yep.
He's going to live through it all. He will be king.
That's how you gotta. That's the people you gotta align yourself with when something crazy happens.
I know, but he's famous. I've tried.
Yeah. Well, that too. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's where I'm going.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes total sense because there are homeless people that they already know how to live off the grid.
No, they're just going to rob you and leave you to die.
Yeah, but I won't have anything, so
they won't help you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You give them 50 cents, they'll be your friend for a few minutes.
Or they wipe down your window at least when you're at the red light.
Right, which you don't want to go through the apocalypse with a dirty windshield. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely does. You got to see where you're going, Don.
Right, exactly. Even if it's all just smoke and fire, you got to be able to see it. That way,
right?
You can drive right into it.
Right. Well, you know how to dodge all the other cars that are broken down on the road because they couldn't see.
Exactly.
All right. Yep, I definitely think the episode title is The Stains He Left Behind. We're still going with that.
Love it.
Because there's...
I love it. I love it.
That's one of the points of this show is to find show titles. That's really, Well,
I think you could probably start a whole new podcast just based off of the Stains Left Behind. I think
that's true.
Probably,
that would be a good name for a podcast.
It would be.
Yeah.
I think we might be onto something here. I might have to start a second show.
I'm sure it could go downhill real quick with that title.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the Life Radio show usually goes downhill pretty quick. That's why. That's why I almost got kicked off the air this year. I've been doing that show live on the air for 5 years, and I almost lost my show about a month ago because of something somebody on another show did. Wasn't even on my show, but they got so scared that my show might cross the line because I love tiptoeing across the FCC border. That's fun.
Yeah. Well, so you were basically collateral damage.
Exactly. But finally, they came around, and we're good. Everything's good. But it's been great talking to you. We're going to have to wrap up. Do you want to throw any social media you have out there? Anything else you want to throw out that we need to know?
No, I mean, my home base is m3creative.net. It links to all my social media, all the news, all the things that we're doing, updates about the film. I try to keep it simple, so m3creative.net is the perfect place for anyone to follow up or check out what we got going on.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. I look forward to seeing the E-Listers when it comes out March 5th. I'm going to have to get on there and check that out as soon as it's there.
I will definitely make sure to get it over to you guys.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Mike Mueller. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and look forward to seeing the movie.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap up, and we will be back here shortly with somebody else, and we'll just keep this thing going. How you doing, Susie? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right. Well, we'll be back. Stick around. Thanks for listening to the Life Radio Show podcast. Check it out wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, if you want to listen live, we are on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. on WWSU 106.9 FM. You can also stream the show live at WWSU1069.org, and we go Facebook Live at the Life Radio Show's Facebook page. If you have suggestions or comments, feel free to email thelife1069@gmail.com.
Presence overwhelms me. The brutal presence overwhelms me. I don't want to do, 2 poop stories in a row. That's just not what I'm all about.